Hi everyone, this is the walkthrough of the home inspection checklist for a pending adoption. Video will be between 15 and 20 minutes. Please watch this video before you do your first home check. Anybody can watch it if you are interested in doing so, but please watch the video from beginning to end before attempting your first home inspection. Although this form is very comprehensive and self-explanatory, there are things that I need to point out to you. Right at the top, you'll see it says, when arranging a home inspection, please ask the potential adopters to have the vaccination cards and sterilization records of current pets available for viewing. No exceptions. That will only be applicable, obviously, if they have pets. If they don't have pets, then they don't need that. The reason why we're asking for this is although people say that vaccinations and sterilizations are done, we did do a few spot checks with the last home checks, and it did turn out that some of the vaccinations were done as far back as 8 years ago. So that is definitely not responsible pet ownership. You don't want to rehome to a home where people do not take responsibility for their pet's well-being. First page, your details, name and surname of applicant. Please ensure that it is the same name and surname as on the adoption application. Then first impressions, what is your first impression when arriving at the home? Is the house and garden being maintained? Is there signs of visible severe neglect? Not talking about some paint peeling, you'll know when you see it. Garden overgrown, lots of garden refuse and rubble laying around, ideal breeding ground for mice, rats, snakes. Definitely not a safe home. Just with normal wear and tear on the house. I mean, we don't expect people to stay in $1 million mansions and the homes to be in pristine condition, but at least it needs to be safe, and it needs to be at least a decent home. Is the home freestanding, a subdivision, more than one house on the property, flat, simplex, duplex, plot or cottage? Be very careful when doing a home check with a subdivision. That's normally a couple of homes on a plot. Those homes generally are not very big. The gardens aren't very big, and they're normally not very well fenced. And that is not the main problem. The main problem is the other people living on the property with maybe large dogs that doesn't tolerate cats, etc. So every case we feel needs to be judged on its own merit. That's why we do home inspections. And obviously you need to make sure, even if it's a freestanding house, that the house is safe. Moving on to page 2, is the yard secure for cats? Please check entire perimeter. There you need to check for things like holes in the precast walls, the decorative slabs that sometimes get put in halfway through on the between the solid slabs. That can pose a problem. If a small kitty can get through there, they'll need to close it up with wired mesh or with grid or something. Sometimes they put a decorative slab at the bottom to get rid of rainwater so it doesn't pool up in the backyard, or sometimes the slab is just broken. They'll need to replace that first, because there's no use in them telling you we will do it before they are 6 months old. They need to do it before the kitty goes home so that we know that it is done. Does the residents have electric fencing that is in working condition? That is basically a deterrent for cats to get over the walls. It doesn't always keep them inside, but believe me, and I speak from first-hand experience, when a cat gets zapped by an electric fence, it will definitely not kill them. It's not AC power, it's DC power. So it does deliver a very nasty zap, but it won't kill them. Normally the ears touch first, and then the ear will flop down for about 3 weeks to a month before it will repair itself, and then kitty will not go there. It's not a sure way to keep the kitties in, but it definitely does help. Any large trees close to the boundary walls that could cause kitty to climb over the wall. We don't expect people to start chopping their trees down, but an easy way for them to prevent the kitty from climbing up too high or climbing over is to take normal chicken coop wire, the mesh that you get with the small holes. You roll that up basically like a sausage shape, but just like roughly, and then you put that around the trunk of the tree. So they cannot get over that piece because a cat climbs straight up and they can't go over and around it. So that is the best way to make sure that Kitty is safe, can't get over the wall and can't get stuck in a tree. Are there any busy main roads close to the residence? That is, look, if it's a home where the walls are very high and it's securely enclosed, we're not going to penalize anybody, for having a busy road close to their home. But if it's like normal palisades where the kitty can go through and they will be allowing the kitty outside, that is a definite no-no. I have declined homes quite a few times because of that. And they normally say, but our other cat never used to go out. Well, one cat is not like the other, so we can unfortunately not risk it. If they don't put preventative measures in place, or if it's not an indoor only kitty, or they don't have a cat here or something like that, that is also a reason for concern. If the boundary walls are relatively low, does the neighbors have an issue with cats? Unfortunately, not everybody likes cats, not as much as we do. We don't expect people to, but you do get people that will either poison them, shoot them with pellet guns, throw them with hot water or boiling water or whatever, or let their dogs loose on the cats. So definitely something that you need to speak to the potential owners about, and then make them aware of the fact that their kitty could get injured if they have neighbors that do not like cats. And that just follows up on the question, if the boundary walls are relatively low, does the neighbors have cat aggressive dogs? Then obviously that is something that they need to look at, and maybe keep the kitty inside or only allow the kitty out the back if the walls there are a bit higher, and not let the kitty out in the front where they can get into harm's way. Will the cat kitten be allowed outside the yard unsupervised, not on a harness? Sorry, it should actually read outside in the yard, unsupervised, not on a harness. Not saying, that you have to take your cat out on a harness every single time, but if they want to take their kitty outside and the kitty is young, under a year, definitely not something that, if they don't see a problem with it, I will definitely sit down with them and discuss with them the dangers of allowing them to be outside unsupervised, especially at a very young age where they're very inquisitive and curious and want to explore, and they will get themselves into trouble and might injure themselves or get killed. Does the residence have a catio? That's definitely not a must, but if they do, that's perfect, because then any other problems that you see with perimeter security is not going to be of a concern anymore. Does the residence have a pool? Is it covered, fenced? We prefer to have the pools fenced or covered, a fence that can keep a kitty out. We have unfortunately had an incident where one of our kitties that we adopted out drowned. It was actually one of my own foster kittens, and she was already over a year old, and the people moved to a new home, and within the first week after they moved in, there was a pool net, and it was outside in an outside room packed with stuff that stayed there in storage from the previous owners, and they were still going to put the net on, and they went out to the shops. They won the Saturday morning, and when they got back an hour later, she had drowned. So definitely a concern. People shouldn't think it's a cat. It won't go near the water. It does happen. So we need you to make sure that you explain this to the new owners. Does the home have high balconies where the kitty could fall off of? Unfortunately, also first-hand experience, not one of my fosters, but one of our kitties that we adopted out. Youngish kitten was on the balcony playing with her owner. She got a fright, she jumped back, owner couldn't grab her in time, she fell off the balcony and broke her back. So please make sure that you explain to people the importance and the dangers of small young cats or kittens falling off balconies. Adults may survive the fall because they can rectify themselves in the air when they are very young. They cannot do that and they won't survive the fall. So need to make sure that domestic workers, children, etc., knows not to open the balcony doors, and if the people can lock it, it's even better. Put the key away. Make sure that when Kitty does go out onto the balcony, they're on a harness, they are on a leash, and they introduce them to the balcony because they will be curious and they will want to see what's out there. But definitely not in the hands, not in the arms, and definitely not out there without any properly fitted harness. If kitty is going to be indoor only, is there enough stimulation and space for the kitty? We do get applications from people living in flats or living in second or third story apartments. Enough space, but it needs to have stimulation, needs to have windows, needs to have a decent amount of toys, scratch posts, etc. Don't want a little couch ornament, part of the family type of. Make sure that the kitty will be happy being an inside kitty, and have enough stimulation, etc. Would you say that the home is extremely cluttered and untidy and won't be safe for a cat or kitten? Don't expect people's homes to be dust free and to be neat as a pin. Cats and kittens like to climb on things if things are very cluttered or stacked throughout the house. Cats or kittens might climb up on it, might topple over, fall on them and injure them or kill them. So that will definitely not be good. So that is something that needs to be looked at. Are there enough litter trays? Are they clean, and does it have sufficient amount of litter in? That will only be applicable if people do have cats already. One litter tray per cat and then one extra. If they don't have enough litter in there or enough litter trays, they're going to have problems with cats doing their business outside the litter box or in areas like the bed where they shouldn't, and that might cause a bit of upset, but it is because there is not sufficient amount of litter trays. Do all current furry family members at the home appear to be in good health, well kept and happy? Some animals might appear a bit neglected because of their age. Their coats aren't so shiny anymore. They might look a bit thin, but you will see on the application if there is an old animal on the property, and obviously you need to be the judge of what you consider to be in good health, well kept and happy. Some of the animals may be recently adopted and may not be looking so good, so please feel free to ask the potential adopters any questions you may need. And this will just join the question at the bottom. It says, does any of the furry family members seem nervous, anxious or scared? Do they cower away? But don't just judge. We don't know whether it was maybe an animal that was adopted, and maybe are very afraid of strangers or still settling in. So if you note any of these things, then you need to ask the potential adopter what the story is, and it is your right to ask. Where does the furry kid sleep? Now, although we are doing a home check for kitties, a lot of us are also pooch owners, and it doesn't mean that just because we are doing a home check for a kitty, we will pass it if the dogs aren't happy on the property, if there are dogs. Some dogs don't like sleeping in the house. Some of them prefer to be outside. They'll bark at night, they'll scratch at the doors, they want to be outside. If the dogs prefer to sleep outside, you need to make sure that their sleeping areas are clean. They've got a large enough kennel with comfortable, clean, warm bedding in, and that they are happy. But they do need to have access to the house. We don't believe in animals being lawn ornaments. They need to be part of the family. And obviously no cats sleep outside, and they need to have access to the house 24/7. the kitties, that is. Where is the feeding area? Is it clean? And then, if applicable, does the food available look to be of good nutritious quality? It doesn't necessarily need to be a vet prescribed food. I've done home checks where there are cats of 17 that has only ever had cat more to eat, and they refuse to eat anything else, and they look wonderful. I'm specifically talking about brands like Catsby and Bow Wow, and if you want a pet, then you need to make sure that they eat proper food. If it gets supplemented with some chicken or some tins or some sachets, that's perfectly fine, but definitely no substandard food that you can just buy at the corner garage, buy the charcoal and wood. That's definitely not suitable. Are there sufficient clean bowls with fresh water available for all pets? That's very important. Some people don't really understand the importance of keeping bowls for your pets clean, keeping them sanitized, no algae in the water. So have a look at the rest of the fur family members. Look at their bowls. Is it grimy? Is it greasy? Is it dirty? Does the food just get chucked in day after day after day? Does it ever get washed? Things like that. Vaccination and sterilisation. We're not going to decline homes because people's pets weren't sterilised in 2 years. Vaccinated, sorry about that. Vaccinated in 2 years' time, or for the past 2 years. Some of us prefer as our pets get older. Personally, for myself, when my pets get to the age of around 7, I only vaccinate every 2 years, and when they go over the age of 13 years, I only vaccinate every 3 years. So it's not a reason to decline a home, but if the basic vaccinations weren't kept up to date for the first couple of years of the pet's life, then we do question it. And obviously, proof of sterilisation needs to be given for all the animals. We are in animal rescue. We want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. So even if it is a dog and we are doing a home inspection for a cat, we do not support breeding of any type, and we do request that all animals on the property be sterilized unless there is a very, very good reason. I know some people do prefer to have especially large breed dogs sterilized after the age of 1 year, and there is some truth in it about the hormones and the growth plates and hips dysplasia at a later stage. I have checked the facts, and that is the truth. So if there is a valid reason, if you're not sure, just make a note of it, and then one of us will check it over. How many people in the family or children respectful and gentle with current pets? Your own observation. If there are no pets, obviously you won't be able to check, but have a moment, sit down, talk to the children, ask them a bit about animals, get them all excited, see what they say. Are they speaking with a fondness, and ask them questions. How will you pick up a kitten? How will you hold a baby kitten? Are you going to love it? Are you going to care for it? Are you going to help mommy and daddy? Things like that. And that will give you a general idea of what the child is like. It's not a definite way to establish, but just to give you some kind of an idea. You do get children that are extremely gentle from a very, very young age, and then you get children that are older that was just never taught to be gentle with smaller animals, so they need to be taught the right way to do things. How does family members react towards each other? That just gives you a general idea of the whole family feel. If it's chaotic and people are running and children are screaming and screeching, is that really a safe place for a kitten? Is the kitten going to get tripped over or stomped on or fallen on? Definitely not for a young kitten, but then if they are applying for an older cat, they are quite agile and can get out of the way if necessary. So that is why we need to put this question in there. Is the main caretaker of the kittens, kittens, physically able to care for them? Are they in good health? Are they disabled. Not saying that people that are disabled cannot care for a pet, but if they are bedridden, obviously, that will not work. Does the entire family seem eager and excited to welcome a new furry member into the family? Not saying everybody should stand at the gate and jump up and down and hold banners and be shooting off little sparkles and fireworks and, well, we hate fireworks in any ways, but you get my point. But do you sense that somebody in the family might not be very happy with the fact that there is a new addition to the family being added? Yeah, we obviously want the whole family to be happy, and we want the kitty to be welcome in the new home, and definitely not an unwanted part of the family. Please remind them that if the kitten is still very young, he or she should remain indoors for the first 6 months of their lives with only supervised outside visits. Also touch on the following subjects and provide feedback. They need to understand that a healthy cat is a long-term commitment. It's not an ornament, it's not an object, it cannot be given away or discarded. They grow to love you and they depend on you, and you need to make sure that you are financially and emotionally ready to take on a commitment of this nature. Make sure, sorry about my nose, guys, I've been a bit sick, but yeah, just please excuse my closed nostrils. Please make sure that the family understands the kittens needs to be kept inside the home. I've said repeating that, but it doesn't matter. Children should not be left unsupervised with small kittens at any time. Please warn parents of young children that kittens can and will use their nails if hurt, or might play a bit rough if they get excited. They need to take the time to teach their kitten and child to be gentle, and I would say be gentle with each other. So definitely don't leave them unattended. Also, a very, very sad story about a child that came to visit the people that adopted the kitten, and the lady says that she actually thinks this child fell on the kitten and the kitten was killed. So it wasn't one of her own children, but it was one of the visitors' children. So they need to just make sure that the kitten is not left unsupervised with the kids. If you do get visitors with kids that you don't really know, please close your kitten in a room, lock the door, make sure that they've got food, toys, litter box, sleeping little bed or whatever. And same thing when you go out. If there's going to be areas in your house that your kitten might get hurt in, rather put the kitten in a room, lock the door, go out, do your thing. Just make sure that there's food, water, litter tray, toys, etc., etc. The kitten will be fine and they will be safe that way. If they had to move from their current home, will they go the extra mile to ensure that they find a place where all their pets can go with? And I feel this is where we can start educating people, because we all see it on social media. Kittens, puppies, adult cats, adult dogs being given away. I'm moving, can't take them with. Soek 'n liefde volle huisie. Yeah, unfortunately, free to good home doesn't work. And people need to understand that if you move, you need to make sure that you accommodate your pets and that you take them with you. You have to really go the extra mile. And it's the same with the immigration. Also on social media, we see it immigrating in 2 months, immigrating next week, immigrating tomorrow. I've actually had that. And people need to realize that, again, it's not an object. It's not something that you can just discard. That is part of your family. So if you start the immigration process, please make sure that you have the funding available to take your animal with you. You cannot just discard it like an object. It's not something that you can just give away because it's not convenient for you anymore. And does the family understand the need for basic medical care, vaccinations to women to ensure that all pets stay healthy? And this is also something that we can maybe educate them with, is the vaccination once a year can prevent thousands and thousands of rands in vet fees if that animal does get sick. Some illnesses are preventable by doing the vaccinations, and that is why it is very important. As well, you don't want your pet to get sick and you don't want them to die, and then unfortunately you didn't do the vaccinations, and now it's drama and tears because the kitten or the puppy is not going to make it because vaccinations weren't done. So rather take that bit of money once a year and vaccinate your animals. And then approved decline, needs more investigation, provisionally approved pending safety improvements. If you provisionally approved it, you don't have to tell people. You need to make the suggestions and let them know that we will be following up, and they need to send us pictures of the safety improvements that you suggest that they make. If there's like more investigation that needs to be done, you can just do that if you're not sure whether you should or shouldn't approve the home. If you feel confident that you will actually take one of your pets and home one of your own pets to these people, then you can approve the home. And then obviously decline if you feel very strongly that it's not a suitable home. You can obviously decline it. If you're not too sure, you don't want to approve, decline, or needs more investigation, you don't have to fill in anything. You can just send your forms, just take pictures of it, send it either to myself or Candace, or ask one of the more experienced home checkers to go over it for you, and then we will be in contact with them. You don't have to tell them that the home check is approved. We would actually prefer that one of the directors get in contact with them, or Candace that's been handling the adoption, but you can let her know and then she can notify them, because then she needs to arrange for the collection of their kitty as well. So girls, sorry for this very long video. You only need to watch it once. Lucky for you. Please bear in mind that English is not my first language. So sorry if I made a few boo-boos. I'll probably only hear when I play the video back. But I hope this gives you a better idea of how to do a home check for a kitty. And if there's anything else that you'd like to add in there, or anything that you feel we've missed, please reach out and let us know. I will not be doing another video, but I can update the forms definitely. So thank you for watching.